A good morning to you all. So, yesterday during our lecture, we agreed that today we're going to be demonstrating on how to create an initial response toolkit. So, first and foremost, from the first stage or the first step that we identified yesterday during the lecture, we said one has to run a trusted command executable or a trusted command prompt. So in order for you to access the command prompt, you can press the Windows key followed by an R, and you will get a dialog box called Run. Then it basically says open CMD. CMD simply means command prompt. If you press enter, you will find your command prompt. And the moment you open your command prompt, you see a cursor that will be flicking. Here, it simply shows you, or it simply means the Windows system is now, or the command prompt is now ready for you to type in some commands. However, if you don't want to use the Windows key followed by an R, you can just type in on this window here where it says type here to search. You can just type in CMD, and while you're typing CMD, it has already showed us on the best match that we have a command prompt. You can double click, and when you double click, it will also give you the same command prompt window as shown on the screen. So now, when you are creating an IR toolkit or an initial response toolkit, basically we said an IR toolkit is usually created on a pen drive or on a flash disk. So in my case, the drive of my pen drive is going to be the C drive. So as you can see, this is the path of where I'm executing my commands. I'm executing my command under the user author. So likewise, when you want to create your IR toolkit, you have to go to the folder or to the root or to the pen drive of where you have actually installed, or where you have actually put the executables for your software. Mind you, we said in forensics you only need to use forensically sound tools or forensically sound softwares. And we said when you're using Windows system, some commands are already built in the Windows system. If you want to perform other functions or other services, you can find the tools on the website www.foundstone.com, or you can also look at other commands from NTRK, or you can also use other commands from www.cygwin.com. So, in order for you to be in a better position to actually navigate, there are certain commands that you need to, basic commands that you need to do when you are operating or when you are working in command prompt. We have a command known as CD. CD simply means change directory. And CD usually, let's say for instance, I want to change my directory from author and I want to go into the directory users. You just say CD ... then you press enter. As you can see, I have moved from the directory or from the folder other, and I've moved on to the folder or to the folder known as users. But in my particular instance, my the executables or the softwares that I've downloaded in order for me to create my IRT toolkit are in the drive, are directly in C drive. So I need to navigate to go to C drive. So if I want to change the directory from users to C, I'll also type cd ... And when I press enter, I'm now in the C drive. So if you want to see the contents of your C drive, you can just type in dir. Let's say /a. So dir/a will show you all the directories within your C drive. So in my particular case, I'm looking for the directory IRT, which simply means initial response toolkit. So now that I've seen that my file is, I've just confirmed that my file is on the C drive, I scroll down to find where my cursor is pointing to. And as you can see in the C drive, now I want to go into the folder, into the directory IRT. So in order for you to do that, you simply type in cd, which is change directory, then you space, you just type in IRT and press enter. The moment you have done that, you have simply instructed, you've typed in a command to change the directory to the IRT directory. So likewise, if you want to see the contents of the or what's in the IRT directory, you simply type in dir, then press dir/a, then you press enter. So basically, these are the contents of the folder IRT. This is what is in the folder IRT. So, mind you, when I typed, there's a scroll bar that is to your right. You can actually use that to actually navigate and see what's in your IRT folder. So now we've mentioned the command cd, we've mentioned the command dir. So now I also want to tell you of a command known as mkdir. So mkdir simply means make directory, but basically this command is followed by a name. You want to make a directory and you have to give it a name. So in this particular case, I'll say make directory space executive. So the name of my directory is going to be called executive. So make dir simply means make directory. So we're instructing the command prompt to create a directory known as executive. Or you can put in any name that you want. For instance, I can say make a directory known as information. So when I press enter, the command prompt is actually showing me that the directory has been made. And in order for me to confirm, I can just type in dir followed by enter. Then I now want to look for the directory known as information. So as I'm scrolling up, I should see a directory called information. In this particular case, if you see, we have a directory called information that was created on the 28th of August 2021 at around 23 past 9 p.m. And if you look at the time, it shows that we've actually created the directory just now. So I'm scrolling back, I'm scrolling down to where my cursor is. So now, since we now have, we mentioned the command cd, we mentioned the command make directory, we mentioned the command dir. Let's say, for instance, you're typing commands and your page is now full. When you now want to clear the screen, you can type in the command cls. So the command cls is simply saying, you're simply instructing the command prompt to clear the screen, and when you press enter, the cursor has gone to the top. So now, onto the business of the day. We now want to start to collect volatile data from a Windows system. So first and foremost, we have managed to run a trusted command prompt for our Windows 10 machine. Mind you, during yesterday's lecture, I said when you're creating an IR toolkit, you should create an IR toolkit for Windows 10 32-bit if you're going to be working on a 32-bit machine, or a Windows 10 64-bit if you're going to be working on a Windows 10 64-bit. If it's Windows 7, you create an IR toolkit for Windows 7. So now, first of all, we need, in order for us, before we start collecting our data, we need to collect the system time as well as the system date. So in order for us to do that, we simply type in time, then space, / with a T. If we press enter, that's a command to show us the time. And when we want to know the date, we simply type in date, space, / T, enter. It will show us the date, the start date of when we are collecting our data. Now that we have collected, collected our date and our time, the next thing that we need to do is we need to perform a cryptographic checksum or an MD5 checksum. The purpose is like what we've highlighted during the previous lecture of using a hash algorithm or a hash function, is for us to be in a better position to prove that all the tools that we have been using, we have not tampered around with any document or any tool during our investigation process. So in this particular case, we use the hash function known as MD5 sum, then we put a space, then we put asterisk or a wildcard. Basically what we're doing, we're instructing the command prompt to check all the hash values of all the files that are within the IRT folder or IRT directory. So the moment I press enter, it's basically showing us the hash value of this executable, the hash value of each and every file that is within our folder or our directory. Once we do that, we also need to know the users that are currently logged on within our system. And to do that, we said we need to make use of sorry, just a moment. So once we collect the hash values of all the files or directories within our folder IRT, the next thing that we need to do is we need to collect data with respect to users that are currently logged on to our system. So in this particular case, we use our command ps logged on. The moment I type in ps logged on, it's simply showing me the users that are currently logged on to the system. In this particular case, it's showing us that there is a user called Walter that is currently accessing the system at this particular point in time. And it is also showing us that no one is logged on via resource shares. So it simply means no one is accessing our machine remotely at this particular point in time. Now, we should also be in a better position to record or to capture the metadata or the data about the data, like when a file was accessed, when a file was last modified. And in order for us to achieve that, we use the command dir space /a. The moment we do that, it's simply showing us when a particular file was last accessed and the time in which it was accessed. So this information is also important to an investigator. Now, if you want to know a list of all the running processes within our system or within our machine, we use the command ps list. So the moment you type in ps list and press enter, it will show you a list of all the processes that are currently running on a particular machine. But however, we also need to know all the applications that are also running on a particular machine when we're collecting volatile data. And in order for us to do that, we make use of the command task list. So when I type in task list and press enter, it will give me a list of all the applications and their ports and that are running within our system. Last but not least, we also need to know the ports that are actually open, and if there are any remote connections that are there, we need to know the open ports and all the if there are any remote connections that are present. And in order for us to do that, we make use of a command known as net start. So if we say net start, that A -a, it will show us the protocol, the IP address, the location or the path, as well as if there is any ports that are listening to on our system or that are already established. So if we scroll down, our system is actually showing us the type of protocol. In this case, it's TCP, the IP address, But however, some of you might be asking, how are we going to capture all right, it's done now. Some of you are already asking me, how are we going to be capturing all this information on this particular platform? I'm going to show you, when we are done, I'm going to show you how you can capture all this information, or how you can collect all this information on command prompt. So when we feel that we have we've done collecting all the necessary information that is of importance or beneficial to the investigator, we also need to perform a cryptographic, or to perform a cryptographic checksum, or to perform an MD5 checksum, in order for us to prove that the tools that we've been using or to prove that we have not tampered around with any tool within the IR toolkit. So in order for us to do that, we simply type MD5 sum space, then we put a wildcard or an asterisk. So if we do that and press enter, it will show us all the tools that are within our system, all the tools and the files that are within our IR toolkit, and the hash values that are there. Last but not least, we need also to capture the time and the date. Space T. So the moment we do that, if you remember yesterday during our lecture, we said, last but not least, as an investigator, you also need to record all the commands that you have been using during the course of the investigation. So in order for us to do that, there is a command known as DOS key. So the moment you type DOS key, you put a space, / and type in history. This command is supposed to show you all the commands that you've been using when we're creating our IR toolkit. So the moment I type in enter, it will give me a list of all the commands that I've been using during my investigation process of collecting volatile data. So some of you might be asking, so how then can we collect all this information that we have been seeing in command prompt? It's very, very easy. Like in command prompt, we can actually specify a certain command to be written to a particular file for use later. Let's say, for instance, we want to create a directory known as, let me just try and think of a name, known as forensics, right? So we want to collect all the information that we've been collecting during volatile data, but in this particular case, we want to create a text file known as forensics. So we're going to be inputting all the information on a text file known as forensics. Let's just try and see or check if we have a file that is forensics within the folder IRT or within the directory IRT. We want to see if there is a file known as forensics. So let's just come here and scroll. Sorry, my machine is just